What's up, everyone? Eli here, back for another new stuff video. I haven't been getting a whole lot lately, and it's probably not going to change within the next month or so, but I picked up a couple cool things, some absolute gems. I also got something I got in from a buddy in a trade, and then just a gift that I got from a buddy as well. So I got some cool stuff to show. We'll just get right to it. Got a lot of different formats. Got cassette, CD, vinyl, and even some DVDs. So yeah, let's move, man. I've been talking about this band a lot lately, actually, more than I have in a while, and that's a good thing. This is definitely one of my favorite death metal bands, and probably one of the most underrated death metal bands of all time. So maybe you guys can help me change that, because that needs to be not a thing anymore. You know, cult classic bands are cool, but some bands just deserve more. Now, this band doesn't have a large discography, and that's part of the reason why, you know, they are not better known. But anyone that knows who they are, you know, knows how awesome, you know, their shit is. So we're talking about, yet again, New Jersey's Rot. I got this album, I showed you, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I got the promo, you know, a promo version of like the original copy. This is a remastered version from a couple years ago on Extreme Music. So it is, you know, it's their debut album, In Ancient Beliefs, but remastered. And from what I've been told, it just sounds way, way better than the original. It's not re-recorded, it's just remastered, so it sounds better than the original. There's even some stuff that was accidentally left off the original recording sessions. That basically, the engineer screwed up, so those mistakes were fixed on this version. So, different cover art, as you can see. Very cool to have. And so I ordered that from my buddy Paul, directly from the band. And I also snagged this cassette right here. I've never had this. This only, there's only been one version of this so far. It was when it originally came out in the 90s on 7-inch vinyl. So this is a new cassette version that just came out, I think, last year on Dismal Fate Records. So this is one of their, I think this is like their second EP, but it's one of the things that they're most known for. So we got Manifested Apparitions of Unholy Spirits. Dismal Fate, they've been killing it, by the way. Nice pro tape. And nicely done J-card. So go track that down if you can. It's a must-have. So it's got the original 2 tracks, and then there's some bonus tracks on this one, which is really cool. Yeah, it's got some live tracks and then an unreleased recording from '91. So yeah, very cool. Track it down. Track all this stuff down. There's a flyer and a Rot sticker. Very, very cool. All right, what to do next? Got this CD in a trade from my buddy Andy. Andy, hopefully by the time you see this video, this will be out in the mail. Or I mean, your CD will be out in the mail. So we got. I've heard these guys a while back, and I just kind of forgot about them. Never really owned anything by them. But we have, I believe they're from the Netherlands, Ogdru Jihad, with their first full length. Weird cover art too. Check that out, man. What is this? So these like fishmen. It's crazy, crazy, wild, almost like psychedelic, Satan-esque shit, whatever that's supposed to mean. This came out in, okay, these guys are Danish, by the way. I'm sorry, they're not Dutch, they're Danish. This came out on Ancient Darkness, Danish label. The vinyl version came out on Iron Bonehead, so. It's good, you know, bestial, cavernous, black death metal. Does it stand out from the other, you know, like thousands of bands doing the style right now? I'm not sure. I haven't sat with this for a long time yet, but that will be for you to determine. You let me know what you think. There's a lot of bands playing that style right now, man. It's overwhelming, but it's still cool. You know, I'm glad there are a lot of new younger bands out there, you know, playing the styles of metal that I like. We'll move on to the stuff I got from my good buddy Kevin, Full Metal Ginger. You might know who he is. This is actually 2 separate packages he sent me, but very cool. We were talking about the band Mastodon, and you know how we used to dig them when they were new, and we've both been kind of re-listening and you know kind of determining that a lot of these albums have really held up over the years. I mentioned how I used to have this album and got rid of it years ago. Kind of wish that I hadn't. Their second album, Leviathan. And so he sent me a copy. I think he was making an order through Relapse anyway, so he just grabbed me a copy while he was at it. This, I think, this is not their debut. This is their second album, and like I said, I think this might be their best work. It really is. It's a pretty impressive album. Just so well written, so well played. I mean, these guys are fantastic musicians. And this is a very progressive album. This is maybe the most progressive thing they ever did. Just insanely heavy, insanely proggy. You know, you don't have to like this band. I get it. There's a lot of people that don't like this band. And that's cool. You know, they're not for everybody, but I feel like they're just one of those bands that people kind of, you know, trashed on, mostly just because they got popular, and I don't agree with that kind of shit. So, you know, Mastodon might not be for you, but that doesn't mean that they're not a really, really cool band. I dig them. I don't listen to them nearly as much as I do, you know, when they were a newer band, but I still think they have made some incredible music, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. He also sent me a couple little odds and ends, like the Head Split Records newsletter number 22. Cool zine. I haven't read it yet, but maybe I'll get to that today. Sent me this cool poster from Rotted Life record label, just to kind of hopefully maybe kickstart me into checking out some of the bands on their roster, because he's a big fan. I'm not familiar with all of these. I am familiar with a few. Kind of just a cool little label roster poster. I am familiar with this band right here. Shit, what are they called? Vrenth. I don't know. That's a hard one to vocalize, but Vrenth. Starts with a V, ends with an H. This band right there, pretty cool. I have their demo. It's really good. It's good death metal. He sent me this cool Regurgitation sticker, which oddly enough, I don't own this album, but I have checked it out like a couple months ago, and I thought it was really, really, really good. Kind of old school sounding, brutal death metal. Tales of Necrophilia is the album. I probably shouldn't show that, but there you have. And this is going to be the crown jewel of this video, by the way. He sent me a record. This is a record we have talked about numerous times. It's a very cult classic death metal album. For the longest time, it was pretty hard to get. It's been repressed on different formats lately, which is awesome, so people can finally get it without having to fork over, you know, hundreds for an original copy. So, album in question is out of Mexico, Mortuary Blackened Images. This is the just a recent repress on Iron Bonehead. Album originally came out in 1990. Christoph Moyen did the original cover art, and this is a different cover art than the original pressing, which he also did the cover art for. So I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what the story is with the cover art. The original looks way different than this, but they're both very good. This one's more blasphemous, that's for sure. So this is a gatefold 2 LP set. Looks like on the inside, very cool. Just black vinyl. So there's 2 LPs. Came with a poster of the cover art. Not a massive poster, but I love when they get posters out with vinyl. No matter how big, even if it's very small, I think it's awesome. So it's a good size. So like I said, yeah, we've just been talking about this album lately. It's a great one. Oh, and I should mention also that the second LP, so the first LP's got it's got the album Blackened Images, and the second one is their demo from, I think, like 1989. It's called Where Death Takes Your Soul, and it's a very, very good demo. Maybe even quite a bit ahead of its time. It's fucking awesome. So definitely get that. If you've never heard Mortuary, definitely grab that. And maybe you own it already. It might be worth getting again just for the '89 demo. So fantastic. I love metal out of Mexico. There's just something about it. I like a lot of Mexican bands from the '90s, even on until now. So just something about it. I just love Mexican metal. I could name just off the top of my head probably 30 bands that I think are fantastic. Maybe I should do that one day, actually. All right, got a couple more vinyl records here. Random shit I found at my record store maybe a couple weeks back. This is a band I've always liked. Never have owned anything from them, and kind of always wanted to, and I don't know, just never happened. So this was just a random find, and of course, as soon as I saw it, I snagged it. This is a U.S. metal band out of U.S. heavy metal out of L.A. This came out in 1987. Very kind of Judas Priest sounding. Picture maybe Judas Priest with that kind of early U.S. power metal sound, and that's kind of what you get here with Malice, License to Kill. This is their, I can't remember if this is their demo. This might be their second album, but it came out in '87 on Atlantic Records. Which is kind of crazy. This doesn't, when you listen to this doesn't sound like something that would have came out on a major label in '87, you know, in the U.S. It just sounds a little bit more, you know, like that kind of a more obscure U.S. power metal stuff, you know, like maybe Jack Panzer and, you know, bands that never really broke into the mainstream. So I don't know what this band's story is. There were so, you know, in the '80s in L.A. there were thousands of metal bands trying to break through. I don't think it lasted long for them. They were probably dropped off the label, probably shortly after. They didn't make it far, but just the fact that they made it onto a major label playing this kind of music in '87 kind of blows my mind. I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of bands did. You know, you have Metallica, and you know, you can name a bunch, but this doesn't sound like a band to me that I don't know. It's just kind of a weird piece of, you know, kind of heavy metal history. And on that same day, I picked up, I've been wanting this for a while, man. I picked up the debut, I think this is the debut, I'm pretty sure. This is either the first or second, but I think it's the debut Journey album. Journey into Mystery. Or, Journey into Mystery, what the fuck, man. Look into the Future. Now, I liked Journey a lot as a kid, you know, like 80s Journey. I don't anymore. I don't really have any time for that. And if you do, that's awesome. You know, they're good at what they do. But the 80s stuff with Steve Perry, the pop rock stuff, and I still own some of it, you know, from back when I was a kid. But what a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know this for many years either, is that when Journey started, you know, their first two albums, you know, they played basically progressive rock. It's way different than what most people know Journey as, which is like like I said, a poppy 80s rock band. But their first two albums were, you know, complex, not as obscure sounding as like, you know, a lot of like underground prog bands, but still very proggy, very, you know, a lot of jammy, even, you know, some psychedelic sounds here, but very proggy, you know, exceptional musicianship. Neil Schon, even in his early, you know, in his younger days, was a fantastic guitarist. So, I mean, if you like prog and, you know, you don't like Journey, I get that. You know, maybe go check out their first two albums. I seriously don't think you'd be disappointed. Just fantastic stuff. So I'm glad to have, you know, both their first two albums when they played the proggy stuff. I think their third album might have been still a little bit proggy, but you know, they had Neil Perry, and they were, you know, starting to let that go, and, you know, just make simple, you know, like I said, I'm not really into the 80s Journey stuff. Loved it as a kid, but these days it's not really for me. But anyways, got a couple movies here. Just one day, I don't know what happened. Just this movie got into my head. I hadn't seen it for probably over 10 years, and I didn't own it. And I was like, I have to watch this, this movie. I went down to this local store that we have that sells all kinds of media, a lot of used media and stuff. Sometimes they'll have gems, not always. Musically, it's hard to find good CDs or good vinyl there, but they do have a decent amount of movies, and specifically horror. They have a decent horror section. So anyways, I picked up, and I think I'd owned this before in the past, but I got Seven. Fantastic movie, and this is a cool kind of special edition. It's very heavy. It's got this cool slipcase. You pull it out. It's got that. This looks like the notebook from, one of the characters in the movie. I won't say any spoilers for those of you that haven't seen it. It's a 25-year-old movie, but still, I get it. And it's got 2 discs, bunch of cool bonus material. Yeah, I love this movie. I think, there's a reason why it's considered a classic. I had a blast rewatching it, and yeah, now I can put it on my shelf for another 20 years before I watch it again. But seriously, check out Seven if you haven't seen him. And Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, what's his name? Yeah, Kevin Spacey, Gwyneth Paltrow. Excellent movie. As well as this movie I picked up, I had been wanting to see for a while. It's only a couple years old. I got it at Walmart super, super duper cheap. And man, there's a lot of mixed opinions on this one. A lot of really negative reviews on IMDb. And I don't know, I don't think I can really agree with most of them, but what we have is Dragged Across Concrete. So this is the 3rd movie I own now that's written by Craig Zoller, who used to write for Metal Maniacs. He's been in some cool bands, and he does movies now. Crazy. I know he's done at least 4 movies, so there's one more that I need. I can't remember the name of it, but I thought this movie is pretty damn good, to be honest. It's long. It's a long movie. It's kind of a slow burner, which I like a slow burn. I think they could have shaved off some time. There are some scenes in this movie that I didn't think were very beneficial to the movie itself. You can tell Zoller is kind of going for like a Tarantino approach, and so I get that. And I think he did a pretty good job. I liked it. There's a lot of 1 out of 10 ratings on IMDb, and I think that's a massive exaggeration. I don't know. I watched it. I watched the whole thing. This movie is like 2.5 hours. Yeah, it's 158 minutes. Jesus. Like I said, it's kind of slow at times, but I think the atmosphere and there's some pretty stellar performances, by some of the actors here. I thought it was enjoyable. Don't look into those reviews. Just go watch the movie. Tell me what you think. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. I'd actually really like to get a discussion started on this movie. But man, Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn, Tori Kittles, Michael Jai White, Jennifer Carpenter, Don Johnson even plays it. He's in a couple scenes. I don't know. I liked it. I thought Mel Gibson was fantastic. I thought his performance was great, like he almost always is. So yeah, let's talk about it. And other than that, we got one more. This was a total random grab. I've known about this movie. I just kind of never planned on buying it at all. But I went for it. I thought it was actually pretty decent. A lot of bad reviews on this one as well. I actually enjoyed it. I don't know. It's definitely not as good as the first. And I haven't seen the second. But we have Howling 3, The Marsupials. Haven't seen the second one. Love the first. The first one is probably my favorite favorite werewolf movie of all time. Love Howling. I still to this day will put on the Howling like at least once a year. I thought this one was all right. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I bother getting number 2? I probably will. Just to be a completionist, but I thought it was pretty decent. So, anyways, that's all I got. Kevin, if you're watching this, thank you so much for the package. You know that I think you probably realize, but you know, just to vocalize it, it means a lot to me. Other than that, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Talk soon. Cheers.